I'm watching this Digibro video on the video title is called Invitational Art, and he's talking about this author of a book called Boogie Pop, and it's talking about how the author of the book, he has really out there, very absurdist, very abstract sensibilities when it comes to art, but no one's interested in publishing that kind of crazy shit. So he started getting this real appreciation for popular media and what does get published and what is very successful and popular in the public consciousness. And it started making me think about I really like self-awareness of that type. And it really made me start thinking about the way I look at art and the way I view the stuff that I create. Um, and what I figured is I'm very structured when it comes to my view of art. You know, I remember because when I was a kid, I had ADD, and I couldn't, I have my own opinions on the '90s craze of labeling everyone as having ADD. Like, oh, this kid doesn't pay attention in math class. Clearly, he's the one with the problem. It can't just be that the school structure is fucking boring and doesn't know how to engage with children in the modern day, and it's trying to force them to fit in some kind of fucking box instead of adapting itself to be more engaging to the way children in this new age learn and become interested in shit. No, they're the one with the problem. They're the one who can't pay attention. They have something wrong with them. Um, so, when it came to stuff that tried to, keep my attention, my mom said, ironically, kids with ADD like when shit is very structured. When stuff, like, you know, follows a certain way of things. If shit's just too out of, just too bleh, then they can't pay attention. It's not gonna get them to pay attention because it's just too out there. It's not out there, but it's just it's not orderly. It's not orderly enough. And I found that to be kind of true, at least in the way that I look at other stuff. When how there's those kind of people who take shit apart. They get their TV remote and they take it apart. They fucking unscrew it and they take all the pieces out and they look at it and they want to understand how it all fits together. And they want to see this is what it's made out of and this is how it all fits together and this is what makes it work. And then they put it all back together again. And they're like, okay, now I understand how this works. The people who take a lawnmower and they take the lawnmower apart and they see all the pieces and how they fit together and okay, I understand how this lawnmower works now. That's what I do with art. I like taking art apart. I like taking something and really trying to break it down and seeing what all the pieces are and how they connect together and what they're trying to do, because art is very unique. When you're taking shit apart, for a TV remote or a lawnmower or what have you, those are tools, and tools are made with a very specific purpose in mind. this lawnmower was put on this planet Earth to accomplish this task. And if it can't accomplish that task, then it's fucking broken and, it's a bad lawnmower. But art doesn't really need to have a purpose. Art doesn't need to have a reason. It's just fucking put out there. Like, people just make shit as mostly as like an expression. So the first thing that comes from analyzing art is trying to figure out, what was this trying to do? What was this trying to accomplish? What was the point? Is there a point? Because sometimes art doesn't have a point, and it doesn't need to. And I'm not trying to say, like, okay, art that has a point is better. I'm just saying, like, I need to figure out what the point is. And once I know what the point is, or whether or not it even has a point, then I can start going further. Okay, like, what was it trying to accomplish? And how did it go about trying to accomplish that? And did it succeed? Because that's another really interesting thing with art, is like, you can, once you try and figure out what the artist was attempting to do with the art, then you can try and figure out, okay, did they do it right? No, they might not have. It might have been a complete abject failure. Like, and there's a really great quote by Roger Ebert, God rest his soul, where he was like, it's not what a movie is about, it's how it's about it. And he was using this in defense of, like, he gave this pretentious, shitty art house movie that really sucked a really low score, and he gave this, like, really trashy, mindless popcorn action movie a pretty decent score. And he got criticized for that, saying, like, you should give the art house movie a better score by pure virtue of the fact that it's an art house movie. Its aspirations as art, as a movie, is higher than that of the trashy popcorn flick. And he's like, fuck you. It's not about what you wanted to do. It's about whether you accomplished it. And the trashy popcorn flick was better at being a trashy popcorn flick than the pretentious art house movie was at being a pretentious art house movie. So you can't just say this type of movie is inherently better than this other type of movie. It's about what it was trying to do, and did it accomplish it? And for me, like, it's really fun. It's really fun. I get a lot of fun out of breaking things down to see what it was trying to do and whether or not it accomplished it, and then analyzing what it did to try and accomplish it and seeing where it succeeded or failed. And with games, it's even more interesting because, like, movies are a completely passive experience. You just sit on a fucking couch and you fucking a drool going outside of your mouth and you drink your little fucking soda. And you watch the fucking movie, and it's just sounds and images being put inside of your fucking head. Games are really unique because they're an interactive medium. Without you there to experience it, there is no video game. It doesn't progress without your input. So to me, the best games are ones that know how to blend perfectly with cohesiveness, the interactivity and the uninteractivity of the medium. And, even better if they're able to provide commentary on it. But then that's not to say, like, games that are really meta and, go like, this is a video game, are inherently better than games that are just, face value fun shoot 'em up video games, because it's all about whether you do it right. Like, Stanley Parable isn't automatically a better game than Call of Duty. It's about which one does what it was trying to do better. Like, Stanley Parable gets a lot of rave. Like, anything that's kind of, that's, in gaming, like, anything that's atypical, meaning not mainstream, automatically gets a lot of rave. And I feel like I really fucking cringe at that. Like, because it's the opposite of the Roger Ebert quote. You're just saying this is automatically better because it's not the trashy popcorn flick. Like, oh, it's an art house thing, so it's automatically better. This fucking walking simulator is automatically better because it's not a mindless shooty fest. And that's not true. If it's a shitty walking simulator, then you can't just say, oh, it's better because at least there's no guns in it. It's fucking stupid. It's about what was it trying to do, and did it do it? And how? How did it go about doing that? Like, Stanley Parable does accomplish what it sets out to do because it's very narrow. It has a laser fucking focus on what it's trying to be and how it accomplishes that, and everything in the game is specifically structured for that purpose and to accommodate it. You know, it's a commentary. It's like a meta commentary on how games try to have a linear story and how that doesn't usually mesh with player interactivity. Like, no matter what story you want to tell, players are going to go fuck you and do whatever the fuck they want. Like, there's a really simple, obvious example, and like, at the beginning, it's like, Stanley walked on the line painted on the floor and went through the left door. And then what's the player do? The first thing any player is going to do in that situation is not walk on the line and go through the door on the right. And then the game goes, fuck you. But even then, like, that's only successful in terms of, like, superficiality. Because it's making a commentary on the way video games do that. They say walk on the line and go through the door, and then when the player doesn't do that, they don't go fuck you. Because the designers didn't conceive of the possibility that the player wouldn't walk on the fucking line and go through the fucking door on the fucking left. But even then, it's not, you know, it's not as groundbreaking as people like to say, because at the end of the day, the designers did want you to not walk on the line, and they did want you to go through the door on the right, because they told you to walk on the line and go through the door on the left. They just understood, you know, the typical player mentality, and came up and you know, recorded dialogue for the scenario, for either scenario. Like, Stanley Parable's impressive by the sheer amount of fucking lines they recorded for every possible situation that the player could possibly do, whether or not they, you know, abided by the instructions given to them or not. There's a fucking achievement in that game for going inside a fucking closet and just staying in there and not leaving that closet for like an hour. Straight up an hour. And there's fucking dialogue. Like, little sound clips going off every single hour. Like, every single couple minutes for that entire hour. And then the game just fucking ends. Like, that's impressive, but it's still, you know, it's still a very structured, linear experience. It's just taking advantage of the fact that players usually don't do what games tell them to do, and how most games don't consider that possibility. And, like, as a narrative, like, as a commentary on video games, on, like, typical, you know, the basic mundane expectation of video games, that's really clever, but it's not actually like this is one of those things where it's like, you know, it's pretending to be something it's not in order to make a statement, but it's lying. It is actually a streamlined, very structured narrative pretending to be like open, infinite possibilities with infinite variations kind of thing. It's not. It's just very good at pretending to be that. But like most people, like they don't understand that. They just see like, oh, it's different and it's going video games are kind of stupid sometimes. That means it's a really good video game. Like you don't get it. Like one of the fucking things that always pisses me off when people talk about Undertale, which is a great fucking video game, which you should play it before before you hear anyone else talk about it. You should go play Undertale. You should pause this video, go buy Undertale, and play it all the way through, and then come back because if you hear me talking about Undertale, that's gonna ruin Undertale for you. One of the things that fucking pisses me off about Undertale, about when people talk about Undertale, is they say the line like, Undertale is made for people who don't play video games. No. No, it's not. It's made by someone who's been playing video games his entire life and understands what makes video games work and made something with the vast wealth of information he has gained through his years of experience in this medium, both like both as a player and like he made a bunch of like Earthbound ROM hacks back in his day, where he experimented around with some of the stuff that would eventually show up in Undertale, and like he really liked, and Undertale's like this really subversive, like what I always like games that like make like a self-aware commentary about games, but still embrace the fact that they're video games. I hate games that are like, isn't it dumb when games do this? Games are dumb. And it's like, I like video games. Fuck you. Undertale does that where it's like, isn't it weird when games do this? Games are awesome. And it's like, yeah, they are. Like, that to me is something that advances the medium. Something like Spec Ops The Line, which I think is a really fantastic game. I don't think that advances the genre. Because all it's doing is going, like, this genre of games is really fucked up, and you're really fucked up for enjoying it. This whole thing is just totally fucked. You're not really offering any kind of solution. Like, it's one of those games that goes like, fuck you, you should have stopped playing. And I really like Spec Ops The Line because I understand what it was trying to do. And it accomplished it. What it was trying to do was to, like, imitate modern military shooters and make a commentary on why modern military shooters are fucking terrible. It's that, like, exaggerated imitation kind of thing, where it's like, this is what these games do, and it goes, like, it turned the mirror around. It turns the mirror around and goes like, this is what games do. Look at how fucking stupid this is. And that was really well done because, like, I don't like modern military shooters. But I imagine if someone who did really like modern military shooters played that, would be like, what the fuck, man? It's not fucking real. Just let me play a fucking video game and have fun. You know, I find those kind of games fun, and I can understand why someone, like, really wouldn't be taken in by that kind of thing. I was, but that's, like, entirely subjective. And, you know, it's that critical dissonance between... I've always felt like reviews should have two categories, like one for like objective, quote unquote, objective quality, like these are like the like for technical accomplishments and like personal accomplishments. Like for like the most obvious example would be like a propaganda piece. Was it well shot? Did it, communicate? Did it indoctrinate people very well? Yeah, then it was a good propaganda piece. It accomplished what it was trying to do. And then subjective scores, this is fucking evil. What the fuck? These beliefs are fucked up, and you're fucked up for trying to brainwash people with them. And it's that's also another thing that's really fun for me is like exploring what I understand is like the objective goal and purpose of the art versus my own personal agreement or disagreement with it, like my own subjective feelings. And that's something that also pisses me off about what critics do is like they refuse to view art through anything other than their own lens, their own personal lens. They look at everything and they go like, okay, does this meet my criteria and my philosophical ideological outlook? No, it's bad. It's bad because it doesn't accommodate or it doesn't fit, my personal outlook on the world or whatever. And that's dumb. Like if you're like an like just as an example, like if you're like an atheist, you can't look at a Christian movie and be like that's bad because it's a Christian movie. Like you can have that subjective column about like here's why I personally don't agree with the things that are stated here, but you got to take it on its own merits too. You got to take it like, okay, well, does this, understand and communicate the Christian beliefs in a way that's, informative and understandable? Yeah, well, it's pretty good then. It accomplished what it set out to do. Like that happens with games that I really really fucking hate, but I can go like that's a really good game. It did it. Like Metal Gear Solid 2 is a game that I think is incredibly incredibly flawed to the point of being pretty bad. Because like for one thing, I think it's unfinished. I've talked about this before. I think it's unfinished, and I don't like this like fucking preachy meta commentary bullshit. But I see what it is trying to do, and I see how it is doing it, and I can go, look, you did it. You did the thing. You did the thing that you wanted to do. I don't like that thing, but I can't say that you did it poorly just because I don't like it. You did it well. I can acknowledge the thing that I don't like was done very well here. This is a good example of that kind of thing. So, like, I don't like walking simulators, but I can look at Stanley Parable and be like, this is a pretty good walking simulator. You did the thing. You did the thing you wanted to do, and you did it. I don't like it, but you did it. And that's really fun to me. That whole thing of, like, what is it? What's it trying to do? Did it accomplish it? How did it go about accomplishing or failing to accomplish it? And then how do I feel about it? That's the lowest tier at the very bottom of the criteria for analysis to me. I'm always very sure to approach a work of art on its own terms first, and I want to try and understand what it's trying to do and its beliefs and its mentality, and try and analyze the way that it went about doing that. And then we get to, well, what does it make me feel? Like that's something else people tend to do, where like this thing made me feel bad, therefore it is bad. Like, no, if its intention was to make you feel bad, then and you felt bad, that's a good thing. if you're watching like a rape scene or something and it's not disgusting, it's trying to make you feel repulsed and uncomfortable. And if it makes you feel repulsed and uncomfortable, that means it did its job. It accomplished the task that it set before it. And you go like, oh, this made me feel repulsed and uncomfortable. 0 out of 10. 2 out of 10. I don't like using scores at all, for one thing. But, like, I can watch something like that and be like, I don't like how this is making me feel, and I don't enjoy this, but it was trying to make me feel that, so you can't say that it's bad. You can't say that it's bad. It did exactly what it was trying to do. So that's my fucking aimless rant. Like, I'm very mechanical almost in the way that I analyze art, and I find that that is how I tend to try and create things. Also, I tend to be very, very like, what is the best, most efficient, most engaging way to communicate what I am trying to communicate to the audience? Like, if I'm writing something, I want to explain like what the character is thinking and feeling. Like, what's the best way to do this? Because you can't be too wordy. You can't be like, you can't go in circles. You can't use purple prose because that loses people's interest. They read it and they go like, fucking shut the fuck up, and they stop reading. But also, you can't be too, like, lockstep, fucking monotone, mechanical, like, he thought this, and then he thought this, and then he thought. That loses people's interest too. You gotta be engaging, but also you gotta get people. You want to make people feel and think what you want them to feel and think, and like that tends to lead to a feeling where, like, if someone, you know, uh, reads something that I wrote and they feel like something other than what I intended, even if they praise it, even if they're going like, "Oh, this is so good, it made me feel and think this," I go, "Well, then I failed. That wasn't a very good piece of writing because I was trying to communicate this, and they took away something completely different. I fucked up. That was a bad book. Fucking start over." And I admit that that's not the best way you can possibly view that. Like, you should be able to be like, okay, that's a valuable, like, it's I didn't know that. Something I would make someone feel that way. It's very interesting. I try to, like, no, I'm very much like, no, you had to feel this because I was trying to make you feel this. And if you didn't feel that, then I fucked up. I fucked up. And like, that's just like, like, that's just the way I think about things, and I like hearing about the ways people like consume and create art. Like, what's their mentality? Like, I kind of want to look up this book, Boogie Pop, now, because because this guy's like mentality sounded really interesting to me. Or he was uh, in the video he's explaining like he really respects he really respects popular art, but he could never make it. Like, he's jealous of the way popular art can, like, really fucking connect with people and reaches a lot of people, and everyone relates to it and goes like, oh, I understand completely, and this is my favorite thing ever. And he's like, oh, I wish I could do that, but I can't. I'm just too boogie. I'm way too boogie. I'm just too fucking abstract and out there, and like, it's cool meeting like the 5 or 6 other people on the planet who are the same kind of boogie as me, and they read it and they go like, yeah, me too, man. But the majority of people are just gonna be weirded out and not get it. and that makes him feel bad. He's like, I want to share my art with people. I want people to enjoy my art. And like how you got to kind of like compromise, not like in a moral kind of way, not like I feel dirty that I believe this, but now I gotta compromise because like how can you make your output appeal to the masses while still being true to yourself? How can you get other people to enjoy your creative expressions while still having them be your expressions? Like he talks about, you know, some popular media is made very cynically. It's made like checking off things on a checkboard, like this pops like pop songs. There's this famous diatribe about how like every pop song is the same three chords or something. I'm sure you know it way better than I do. Where like every single pop song has this same melody. And everyone's into that melody, but now every single song is like, okay, we gotta have this melody because we want this song to become popular. Like, we just want to make the money. We just want to make the money, so make this like this, because this is what the fucking sheeple will fucking shove down their fucking gullets without even thinking about it. Put all the salt in the fucking chips and watch them just fucking eat it. Like, some pop is made like that, but most pop comes from a place of like genuineness. Like they just genuinely like that was the art that they had in their soul, and it just so happened that they shared those same sensibilities with the populace, and like what they make connected with other people because they have the same priorities and values. And so it shouldn't be seen as cynical or like a dumbing down, I guess, to try and make your boogie fit in with the pop, to make your out there crazy surrealism consumable and enjoyable to the majority of people. Because if like Elton John, was it Elton John or John Lennon? I'm fucking up this quote. I feel sad now. But he said, "When you're in love, you wanna tell it to the whole world. You wanna tell everyone. When you're in love, you wanna shout it to the fucking rooftops." And that's what it's like when you're an artist, because you have something inside of you. You have this love inside of you, and you want everyone else to feel it too. You want everyone to know, like, this is what I got. Can you tell me? Can you tell me if it's hot? And it like that kind of melding the objective with the subjective. That's really fun. That's a really fun topic to me. And I don't know if that should be like considered the ultimate goal of artists, because like I also kind of feel like it's different if you want to make a career out of it. Like if that's your job, obviously you got to make something that's gonna make money. But like I feel like you should be secure enough in what you make to be okay with it not catching on. Like, okay, like it didn't get popular. The majority of people, it didn't speak to them. But like it spoke to me, and I'm glad I expressed it. And for the 4 or 5 other people out there who feel the same way I do, I'm glad that it's out there for them too. It's all about life is just a bunch of it's a balancing act. You gotta have enough. Gotta have enough sugar in there. Gotta have enough sugar in the water so that it just looks like water. If you have too much sugar in there and it just pools at the bottom of the fucking cup, and it's just a fucking chunk of sugar at the bottom, you gotta stir it up. You gotta stir it up so it looks like water, but there's sugar in there. That's how I feel. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Thanks for watching.